It's time again for the Science Bowl.
Zoo parade for 5. What big teeth the hippo has are actually a pair of these. Science potpourri for 10. Would a snake most likely eat every day? Every week, Dateline Science for 10. Why are some elephants wearing necklaces these days? Green things for 15.
And now, here's your host, Mr. Z himself, Dave Zarin.
Thank you, and welcome to the Science Bowl, the science quiz program here in the Prince George's schools, where for the past 35 years, we've been watching wonderful students demonstrate their science literacy. Test your own. Play along with us today. Things are a little different because of the pandemic. I'm in the studio, and all of our players are not here. They're safely at home. There are no buzzers involved here, so it's a little different from the normal competition, but we have the same categories, and we start our teams out with 50 points apiece just for looking good and showing up, as we always have. There'll be 18 questions for each team. They will be equal in difficulty, but they will be not identical questions, but they will come from our 6 categories, which are these.
Okay, Mr. Z, here's today's categories. Green things, questions about plants and all things green and growing. Zoo parade, a Noah's Ark of questions about animals. Body systems, we'll see how much you know about yourself, about things like breathing and growing and digesting your food. Let's get physical. Questions that test your knowledge of physics and chemistry, earth science and space science. Then there's science potpourri. Here's a grab bag of science questions, everything from air pollution to the kitchen sink. And finally, Dateline Science. We'll ask you about science history and science in the news.
Everybody gets 50 points for showing up and looking as good as they do. And by the time we get to the end of the game here, the team that is ahead will come back to play Beacon Heights for the chance to be the last of our semifinalists as we head into this very unusual and challenging year here on Science Bowl, and indeed throughout the world. Let's meet our first team. They hail from Hyattsville Elementary, and say hello, please, to Arlo. Hey, Arlo, wave to everybody if you would. And Ellie's here. Hey, Ellie, wave to everybody. Nice to have you here. She's a 5th grader, and our last 5th grader is Samuel. Hey, Sam, give us a wave. That's great. All right, no matter what happens today, you guys win because you're here representing your schools. You are ambassadors for Hyattsville. So just do your best. Do your best. Here we go. Let's start with the green things questions. Here is the first of your questions, Hyattsville, a 5-point question in green things. One of the simplest ways to actually see DNA molecules, you know, DNA is what makes us all different. It's in our genes. The simplest way to see it is to use rubbing alcohol to extract it from these red fruits that we know make a great dessert with shortcake and whipped cream. Name the fruit.
Cherry? What is a raspberry?
He's like, Sam thinks he's on Jeopardy. I love that. What is a raspberry? I like that. We got some cherries.
My parents have been making me say everything in what is.
What is?
What is a...
Arlo, what do you think?
I just guess I just got it.
What's your opinion, Ellie?
We got cherries, we got raspberries. What do you think? Which one?
I think cherries.
Correct answer there was strawberries. Strawberries. It's like in strawberry shortcake. Shortcake with whipped cream on top. Let's go to the 15-point question in green things. This vast green area at the tip of southern Florida. You have to know some geography here. This vast green area at the tip of southern Florida is described in a book as a river of grass. Name that area.
I think I've heard this before. The Everglades.
You got it, Arlo. I saw the light bulb go off over your head. It is the Everglades. Well done, young man. 15 points. Let's go for 25. Let's get them all. The most important enzyme on Earth, called rubisco for short, lets plants capture this gas that gets the whole process of photosynthesis started.
What
So I need the name of a gas that actually gets photosynthesis
carbon dioxide.
started. Sam.
What is carbon dioxide?
You got it, young man. It is CO2. Beautiful. You got a perfect game so far. Let's go to the zoo. Zoo parade for 5 points. It's a relief that the largest mosquitoes in the United States do not bite us or feed on blood. Whew. Rather, they drink nectar with long coiled proboscises that resemble the trunk of what largest land animal?
Elephant.
What is an elephant?
Yes, it's called the elephant mosquito. You got it. Let's go to 15 points. You're doing well. The original mythological animal called the chimera, C-H-I-M-E-R-A, chimera or chimera, had the body of a goat, the tail of a snake, and the head of this big cat that in real life lives in groups called prides.
Lion. What is a lion?
That's like Pride Rock in Lion King for 25 points. The number of trees being cut down to make way for more avocado farms in Mexico is further endangering the wintering grounds of this beloved migratory butterfly.
What's the orange butterfly? Monarch.
That's it. Ellie
Is it?
jumped in there too. It is the monarch butterfly. That's the way to do it. 25 points. You're still perfect. Let's go to the body. Body systems for 5 points. If something is really expensive, like the new iPhone 12, if something's really expensive, we often exaggerate by saying, that's going to cost me a blank and a blank. What two extremities?
An arm and a leg.
Give up? Sam?
An arm and a leg.
All right,
What
it's
is an
gonna
arm
cost
and a
me an
leg?
That is right. You got it. 15 points in body. The sections of your brain, made up of different sections, and the sections of your lungs have the same name as the fleshy part of your ear, which can be pierced or not.
Do you guys think that it's cartilage?
Earlobe? Earlobe?
Earlobe is right. That's right, your earlobe. And your brain is divided into lobes, as are your two lungs. Let's get this 25-point question. It is a visual. Look at the picture, Hyattsville. You know, the Sphinx in Egypt posed a riddle to anybody who came close. If you couldn't answer the riddle, the Sphinx killed you. The Sphinx's riddle asked, what animal walks on 4 legs as a baby, 2 as an adult, and 3 as it ages? The correct answer is human beings. Because we are, listen to these words, we are quadrupedal as toddlers, bipedal as adults, and since we use a cane when we get older, we become this.
Tripedal?
Tripedal is absolutely right. We are 3-legged when we are older. 185, that's the way to do it, Hyattsville. We're going to give you a break. We'll come back and talk to you in a few moments and ask you your last 9 questions. Way to go, guys. And it's now time to meet the team from Imagine Foundations at Leeland. And let's say hello to Ngazi. Ngazi, could you wave to everybody? So nice to have you here today. And she's a 5th grader. She's joined today by her teammates, Agatha. Hey, Agatha, give us a nice wave there. She's also a 5th grader. And 5th grader number 3 is Caden. Hey, Caden, good to have you on the show here today. All right, if you are ready, let's get started. We have some green things questions for you. One worth 5 points, one worth 15, one worth 25. Here's the 5-point question in green things. Here we go. To feed the millions more people projected to be living on Earth in the year 2050, scientists are trying to make this food-making process in plants much more efficient than it is currently at only 3%. Name that food-making process.
Okay, so I was thinking of photosynthesis.
It is photosynthesis. Beautiful. Photosynthesis is a common answer on Science Bowl. Thank you. Got 5 points. You're off to a great start. For 15 points, this plant part, essentially a solar panel, can also be used as a verb to describe turning the pages in a book or magazine.
So I was thinking of like summing, but I don't think.
Okay, I haven't heard from either the other two, Ngazi, Agatha, and Caden. All right, what part of a plant could be considered a solar panel? And if you use it not as a noun but as a verb, it can be turning the pages of a book or magazine. Correct answer there is a leaf. A leaf is a solar panel because it's there just trying to absorb the sunlight for photosynthesis. And if you leaf through a book, it's when you turn the pages of a book or a magazine. All right, here's the 25-point question in Green Things. It's a visual. Look at this picture, Leeland. Seeds from maple trees. That's what you're seeing, maple tree seeds. You can see them twirling through the air like little helicopters at some times of the year. They are described as, here's the word, listen to me spell it, and there are clues in the word. These kinds of seeds are called dipterous, D-I, D as in David, D-I-P-T-E-R-O-U-S, dipterous. Because, like birds, these seeds have what?
Okay. I was thinking of wing.
Give me more.
Feathers?
P-T-E-R-O-U-S. Okay, so your captain has said wings, and she's almost there. Agatha and Caden, help us out.
In the word, I saw the word dip.
The important part there was the first two letters, D-I, die, which means two. Two wings. Terrace means wing, and D-I means two. Two wings would have gotten you 25 points. All right, Leeland, it's now time for the Zoo Parade questions. Here's the 5-point question for you. If you absolutely refuse to do something, Mom, I'm not doing that, you might be called as stubborn as one of these equines that you get if you cross a female horse with a male donkey. You're as stubborn as a what?
Okay, I thought it was, but
I think when the donkey and horse have a child, it's a mule.
Say it again.
A mule?
A mule is absolutely right. As stubborn as a mule. Yeah, you can't breed two mules because they have odd numbers of chromosomes. That's because they have a horse and a donkey as parents. Nice answer. I liked how you worked that out. Here's your 15-point question. Keep it up, Leeland. Dolphins. We love dolphins. Manatees. We love manatees. And whales. Those three mammals are often killed either when this substance is spilled into the ocean by mistake, or when the mammals collide with these things. Two-part answer. What gets spilled and what do they collide with that oftentimes kills or injures whales, dolphins, and manatees? You've seen this on the news.
I've heard of algae.
I was also thinking of oil.
Oil's what? Yeah, when they spill the oil, and Gazi, she got that. And now, what do these creatures collide with that injures and kills them?
They could be sharks because they also live in the ocean.
The second part of that is boats, ships. Sometimes the ships are so big that the whales can't get out of the way and the dolphins can't get out of the way, so that was the second part of that. All right, let's try this last one. Zoo Parade for 25 points. An elephant has a gestation period Gestation, for 2 years. A long time for its baby to develop in its mother's womb. Another name for gestation is this P initialed word. P as in Paul. When an elephant is carrying its baby, a mother elephant, the baby is inside the mother for 2 years developing. You say that that elephant is what? A P initialed word.
Because I think it's a pachyderm.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there. The answer, Agatha, you said pachyderm is what an elephant is, but you're missing the point of the question here. The elephant is pregnant. It's pregnant. That's another name for gestation period. It's inside the mother's body for 2 years developing. Just like in human beings, it's 9 months of pregnancy. All right, let's go to the body system questions. Let's try these. If you get mad with somebody, your BFF, I don't care, you're mad. You might say, I have one of these body parts to pick with you. Parts that you have over 200 of in your body, especially in your feet.
A bone.
Say it again.
A bone.
A bone, yes. I have a bone to pick with you. That's a phrase. You got it for 5 points. Good. When you eat one of your favorite foods, maybe you like going to Wendy's. Maybe you like your mom's spaghetti. Maybe it's some kind of candy. When you eat a favorite food, you start to salivate. You start to produce saliva. And you smack your what's? S-M-A-C-K. You smack your what's when you're about to eat something that you really like. You start to drool, you salivate, and you smack your what?
Your lips.
Your lips. That's right, you smack your lips. And last question for you in the first round. We were talking about pregnancy before. Within 5 minutes of when you were born, or any baby is born in a hospital, doctor gives it the APGAR test. You got to take a test and you're only 5 minutes old. APGAR. The doctor quickly checks for A, appearance, P, pulse, C, grimace, to see if you react to pain, A, activity, and R is this pulmonary function. They want to see if the baby is doing what?
I thought of crying.
What did you say there, Caden?
I said crying.
Not cry. No. Remember, it has to begin with the letter R. APGAR, A-P-G-A-R. A for appearance. P, does it have a pulse? G, grimace, does it react to pain? Activity, can it move? And R, can it do this?
React.
React is a good one. That's almost the same as grimace. I described it as a pulmonary function. Some of you have heard of CPR if someone has a heart attack. If you see someone and their heart's not beating, you have to get the heart started, cardio, and pulmonary means breathing, breathing. So respiration. Respiration is the last of the things we were looking for there. We would have accepted breathing, though. All right, you got 80 points at this point, Leeland, and we're going to give you a break. We'll bring you back in a couple minutes and ask you your last 9 questions. All right, before we ask any more questions, let's find out about the team members here from that team from Hyattsville. And Arlo, tell me why you wanted to be on our show. Arlo is our captain.
I want to be on science school because, I feel like giving honor to science school, and my sister's been in science for multiple times.
Wow.
And I was really excited for it.
I think that's great. So it's a family tradition. Your sister was here, now you're following in her footsteps. I know she's going to be proud of you, as you are probably of her. And, you know, it's a challenge to do this because, you know, you're not used to me. I mean, you've watched me on television, but this is like learning a new teacher on the first day of school. You guys are doing really well. What do you want to do someday with your life, Arlo? Have you thought about that?
A bit. I like retelling history, architecture, and I just feel like being landscape artist might be fun because then I both get to do architecture, like design out spaces, and I just feel like that would be fun.
I think that sounds like a great idea. Landscape architecture, designing a space for a private home or a company. Some of them are just spectacular. So if you're a creative guy, which I can sense that you are, sounds like a good fit. Let's talk to your teammates. Let's go to Ellie. Hey, Ellie. Ellie, nice to have you on the show here today. How has it been not being in a physical classroom this year? Has this distance learning worked for you?
It's okay. I would like to be in the classroom.
Yeah. Well, I think,
but distance learning is safe, and I'm pretty okay with it.
Oh, I like that answer. Yeah. Safety is the most important thing. We wouldn't do this if it weren't that we were concerned about people's welfare. I was asking Arlo about his future plans. He was talking about landscape architecture. What about yourself? Have you thought about, once you get out of school, what you might want to do?
I want to either be an actor or like work with animals and like go places and study them.
Wow, that's great. Do you have any pets at home right now, Ellie?
Yes, I have two bunnies.
Oh, that's great. I bet they look up to you, and I hope that they appreciate all the good care I'm sure you give them. Let's find out about your other teammate here, Sam. Hey, Sam. Let me ask you,
Hi.
Hey, Sam, how do you know so much about science? Because you seem to be able to answer just about anything I throw at you.
I talk a lot and I absorb a bunch of random information.
Yeah, something tells me not only do you talk a lot, but you listen a lot. You seem like a very curious guy, and curiosity is good because it keeps you in touch with what's going on around you. Why'd you want to be on the show?
I don't know. Mr. Ganga said I should be on the show, and Arlo said I should be on the show. So I was going to be on the show.
So you're on the show. He recognized talent. I'll let you go. Tell me what you want to do when you get older, if you've thought about that yet.
I haven't really thought about it, but I kind of want to be like my very first jobs to be things like camp counselor, because they're super easy and I get to talk to people a lot.
Yeah.
And I like talking.
And since you like to talk, that would be a good fit. Well, you keep talking the rest of this game here and getting these right answers. All right, let's get back into the game here. And if you're ready, Hyattsville, here is the first question in the Let's Get Physical category, worth 5 points. Well, today we use aluminum foil in the kitchen. At one time, it was referred to as this kind of foil, made of the chemical element with the shortest name, just 3 letters, has the chemical symbol SN,
What is tin?
and is
What
often
is tin?
associated with cans and drums.
What is tin?
What is tin? That's
Tin, foil, aluminum foil, aluminium foil, same difference.
You got it. You all. You didn't need all my extra clues there. Tin it is. 5 points. 15 points. A machine that changes mechanical energy into electrical energy. A good thing to have when the lights go out in an ice storm or a hurricane is one of these G-initialed devices.
What is a generator?
Generator. Ellie, are you on board with generator? All right, it is indeed a generator. Look at this picture for 25 points and let's get physical. If sunlight passes through a prism, you get to see all the colors of the rainbow in the order of Roy G. Bibb: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. This phenomenon is called dispersion, or what R initialed word, the opposite of reflection.
R-E something.
I know you've heard of this before. It's called refraction. Refraction. Like when light goes into a swimming pool and you see a 50 or a quarter on the bottom, it's not exactly because light bends. Light bends. All right, let's go to potpourri for 5 points. Among the angry birds, angry at the pigs for having stolen their eggs in the popular video game, are the yellow bird, the canary, the white bird, the chicken, and this red bird.
What is it?
Cardinal.
It is a cardinal. That's exactly right. A very angry cardinal. Let's go to 15 points in potpourri. All across the African continent, people are being encouraged to build a great green wall, which would be a barrier of trees to keep what desert from advancing even farther south?
Is it the
Sahara?
Sahara Desert is right, yes indeed. The desertification of Africa, hoping to stop it with a great wall, kind of like the Great Wall of China, but made of trees. All right, for 25 points in potpourri. Question is as follows. While the words photosynthesis and phosphorus sound like they begin with the letter F instead of P, so too does this brand of coronavirus vaccine that is being injected into millions of American arms to fight COVID-19.
It sounds like it starts with F, but it actually adds a PH to the beginning. PH medicine brands.
You've heard it much on the news because people are trying their hardest to get vaccinated, and they're either getting the J&J, the Johnson & Johnson, the Moderna, or the Pfizer vaccine. Pfizer. Pfizer was the right answer there for 25 points. All right, let's go to Dateline Science, your last 3 questions. A new U.S. stamp has just been issued that honors a Chinese-American woman whose work as a nuclear physicist was recognized in 1957 when this top science prize in physics was awarded to 2 of her colleagues, but not her.
the Nobel Prize?
Nobel Prize.
Or Granny?
It is exactly right, the Nobel Prize. She was not included in that, so she is now being honored on a stamp, something of a consolation. All right, for 15 points. Scientists recently performed a necropsy, necropsy, on a whale carcass, a dead whale that had washed ashore in Florida. And they decided, after performing this necropsy, that it was an entirely new species. A necropsy on an animal is equivalent to what an initial examination performed by a coroner on a dead human being.
Autopsy.
Autopsy is
an
absolutely
autopsy?
right. Absolutely
Autopsy.
correct. You got it. Autopsy is the equivalent of a necropsy on an animal. Thank you very much, Sam. Last question of the game. I like this question. See if you, it's a long question, but it's a simple answer. Edward Jenner, the scientist who came up with the smallpox vaccine, came up with the word vaccine itself because he first experimented on his son with pus from another kind of pox found on these farm animals, whose name in Latin is vacca, V-A-C-C-A.
For some reason, I'm thinking
It
it's
is a cow. Absolutely right. Cow. Vacca is cow in Latin, and that's where we get the name vaccine, which means you end the game with 270. Amazing work today. Amazing work, Hyattsville. It's now time to talk to that team from Imagine Foundations at Leeland. Here for the first time ever on Science Bowl, doing a fantastic job. Let's find out about these young players here. Let's go first to the captain, Ngazi. Nice to have you here today. Ngazi, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to be on the show.
Well, I mean, at first, I saw the email that said I could be in it, so I just clicked it because most of my friends were like in it. So, yeah.
Well, that's a good reason. And you know, if your friends are doing it and they're good friends and they're role models for you and you want to be like them, this is a good thing to do. Tell me about what you're thinking about for your future. If you've thought
So I want to be like just like Mae Jemison. I want to go to space. Then I want to be like the first Black woman on Mars. Then I want to be a doctor, but I also want to take singing and dancing class. And then I also want to be a teacher.
you are going to be so busy. You're going to have such a busy and a full and a happy life. And Mae Jemison would be very happy to hear you say that you'd like to follow in her footsteps. And going to Mars, that's going to be a couple years your way. But something tells me, you know, you're a tough young lady, and you're going to do that because you're going to make history. You're going to make history. And when we first came on here, I thought you were wearing, I thought that was part of your headset there, but I like your hairstyle. I like it a lot. Those are not Mickey Mouse ears at all. Thanks, Ngozi. Let's talk to your teammates. Let's go to Agatha. Hey, Agatha. Nice to have you on the show here today. She's our 5th grader. Agatha, how do you know so much science? What have you been doing to prepare?
Well, my dad knows a lot about science, so he's been teaching me a lot about science too. And so is my sister.
Wow. Well, you know, parents are the best teachers, all right? And Dad, if he's a scientist and has been helping you, obviously he's a great dad and a great role model, and your sister too. I'm glad she's weighed in. What do you want to do someday?
I don't really know, but I might want to become some type of doctor.
Some type of doctor, yes. Well, that means a lot of years of school ahead of you. You've just begun, but I like the way you're obviously a great student, and you just keep up those same study habits throughout, and you're going to be doctor. You're going to be a Dr. Agatha one day. Dr. Corden, we're going to see that name up there. Nice to have you on the show. Let's talk to your other teammate. Let's go to Caden. Hey, Caden. Caden, you still there?
Yes.
Yeah, just unmuted. That's great. Tell me about Imagine Foundations at Leeland. Even though you're not physically there, it's a great school. Why? Tell us why it's such a great place to be.
Because with my teachers, they have, and then they also teach us great things about science, reading, and
So, boy, if you've got great teachers and it's fun to go there, you've got it all. That's just what a school should be. And tell me about your future. What do you want to do someday?
What I want to do someday, one of my dreams is to become a basketball player.
Do you have a favorite basketball player now that you would like to be like?
Well, I don't have a favorite basketball player, but I do like me.
Well, yeah, in basketball, you know, physical activity is great. We're honoring all of your academic achievements here today, but getting outside, getting some exercise, that actually makes you smarter, you know? People that are physically active just seem to think a little bit better, so you keep that up. All right, we have 9 more questions. Give it your all. Here we go. Let's get physical, Leeland, for 5 points. It's a multiple choice. Now, hopefully, you've been studying something about chemistry and chemical symbols. I want you to try this at home. Put an egg in a glass of vinegar for 1 day. It will turn into a bouncy rubber ball-like toy. It's amazing. It happens because the acid in the vinegar eats away the eggshell, which is made of Ca, capital C, small a, capital C, capital O3. Is that calcium carbonate, sodium acetate, or copper sulfate? Is CaCO3 calcium carbonate, sodium acetate, or copper sulfate? Pick one of those 3.
Say the answer choice again.
All right, you're putting an egg in a glass of vinegar for a day. Kind of neat experiment. And the acid in the vinegar eats away the eggshell, and it leaves you with like a little rubber ball. Yeah, it'll bounce. The eggshell is made of something called, has the formula CaCO3. All right, is it calcium carbonate, sodium acetate, or copper sulfate? You're looking at me like I'm speaking a foreign language. Ca is the chemical symbol for calcium. And even if you didn't know that, Ca is the first two letters, Ca and calcium. I hope that that would give you a clue. Let's go to the 15-point question and let's get physical. Electricity can be either AC or DC. If it flows in just one direction, it is direct current, DC. If it travels one way and then another, it is this A initial kind of current. AC stands for what kind of current? Because it travels one way and then another.
I was thinking of like active.
You're thinking like active, okay. What do you think, Caden?
I was thinking of
What's
air circulation.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Caden.
But else the word that I'm thinking of is air circulation.
Okay, that's a good guess. Let's try your other teammate there. Agatha, did anything pop into your head?
No, not really.
Okay. It's called alternating current. Alternating and direct. AC and DC. And you can oftentimes, if you look on if you have a hair dryer at home, look at what it says on the little panel there. It'll talk about alternating current. All right, 25-point question, and let's get physical. Let's see if you've been following the news. It's been in the news a lot. Dr. Anthony Fauci, he's always on television telling us about this pandemic. Before vaccines are approved for use in this country, they have to pass rigorous tests set by the CDC and the FDA. The CDC and the FDA, pick either one and tell me what those letters stand for. These are the agencies that are approving all the vaccines that people are getting today. I see smiles. I see smiles.
We're gonna choose the FDA, and Food and Drug Administration.
You got it. Oh, see, that's why you were smiling. FDA is right. You got yourself 25 points. And CDC stands for the Centers for Disease Control, but you didn't need both. Yay, Leeland. Let's go to potpourri. Multiple choice. This is a question about kangaroos, and it's multiple choice, which means I'm going to give you 3 choices. Here it is. You could say that kangaroos are macropods. M-A-C-R-O, macropods, P-O-D-S. Because, do they have big, Jaden, are you listening? Is it because they have big pouches, big eyes, or big feet? Take the word apart. Macro obviously means big. Macropods, because they have big pouches, big eyes, or big feet. Okay. Agatha, you pick one. Agatha, pick one now.
I think it's pouches.
Pouches. All right. How about you? Jaden, you've been listening. Pick one.
I think it would be big feet.
Big feet. And Ghazi, you get to choose one of those two or another. Big pouches, big eyes, or big feet?
I thought it was pouches.
Okay. Actually, Jaden got it right. It was the big feet. Pods, P-O-D-S, like in bipedal. Ped and pod often they do both stand for feet. All right, potpourri for 15 points. There are 3 versions of this kind of radiation. The A and B versions can damage your skin. People use sunblock to protect themselves against this kind of radiation from the sun. While the C version can literally destroy our DNA. It's a good thing the ozone layer keeps it away. It has a 2-letter name. What is the 2-letter radiation that can damage our skin and damage our DNA, and we use sunblock to keep it away? Okay, Jaden's reaching for his unmute. What kind of radiation we talk about? 2 letters.
I think it would be UV.
It is UV. Ultraviolet. Come on, Jade. See, you're holding back on me. That's what we want to hear. You got yourself 15 more points. See, he's shy. You know, he knows the stuff, but he's not weighing in here. All right, let's go to the 25-point question. It's a visual question. Look at the monitor at the picture, please. And listen to the little story. How did life start on Earth? In the early 1950s, 2 scientists, Dr. Miller here and Urey, they mixed a number of chemicals together. It's like Dr. Frankenstein. A little ammonia, a little methane, a little hydrogen. Same gases that were around when the Earth was young. And then he passed a spark through it to mimic lightning. And he succeeded in producing these A-initialed kinds of acids that are the basis of all proteins produced by living things. You put together these kinds of A-initialed acids, and you make all the proteins that make up your skin and your eyes and your bones and all the animals and all the plants all over the earth. Name those A-initialed kinds of acids for 25 points. I hope you remember that story because it's the way we think life started on Earth. Lightning coming through a mass of all kinds of chemicals, creating these A-initialed acids. Correct answer there is amino acids, A-M-I-N-O. Remember that, amino acids. And what do they make? What did I just tell you they make? Proteins. All right. Last 3 questions. Dateline for 5 points. There's a new coloring book out for young naturalists like you guys. They ask you to color in various insects. There's a praying mantis there. There's a lobster. There's a spider. There's a crab. All those creatures belong to this A-initialed group of creatures that have jointed appendages. These are called arthropods. Arthropods are creatures that have jointed legs or limbs. And there's that word again, pods. This harkens back to that kangaroo question about macropods. Okay, 15 points. Just 2 more questions, this one and one more. While he was on the moon, astronaut David Scott dropped a hammer and a feather at the same time. He's on the moon, drops a hammer, drops a feather. What happened? Since there was no air resistance on the moon, the 2 objects hit the ground at the same time. How can that be? There's no air in between, no resistance. That proved again what Italian scientists did at the Tower of Pisa hundreds of years ago. What Italian scientists went to the top of the Tower of Pisa and dropped 2 objects of different weight to see which one would hit the ground first. I know you know this guy. He invented a telescope too. I know you've heard of this guy. His name's Galileo. Galileo, he invented a telescope. Here's the last question of the game. You know, if you study animals, if you love animals, I know you guys love animals. If you're a zoologist, you learn something called the island rule. Islands like Long Island or Madagascar or Bermuda. There's an island rule. Generally, small animals that live on islands get larger over time. Large animals get smaller over time because of different amounts of food that are available. Another way of saying this is that gigantism can occur if they get bigger, or what D initial term if they get smaller. What's the opposite of a giant that begins with a D? Snow White had 7 of them.
What?
Dwarfs, yeah. Gigantism is the opposite of dwarfism, which means you end the game with 150 points. All right, Leeland, first time out. Good work. We hope you enjoyed this game at home as much as we did here in the studio. These were some tough questions. Keep in mind, these youngsters are just in the 5th and 6th grade, and they came up with some of these answers. They pulled them out of the hat. They knew how to connect the dots, and they amazed us, and they proved again that we have some elite students here in Prince George's County Public Schools, and their science literacy is off the charts. We're proud of each and every one of them, and we hope that they all come back next year when we're back here in the studio, the pandemic is over, and they can experience Science Bowl the way we would love for them to experience it. To all of the students who played today, you didn't have to do this. This took guts. You know, you came on this show, you never did this before. Here's this guy throwing all these questions at you, and you acquitted yourselves beautifully. Everybody wins today. And one thing I hope you take away is some knowledge. I hope you learned some things today that you can remember and help you in your schooling and in the rest of your life here. You had a lot of poise, you had a lot of intelligence, you were great sports, and I really appreciated all that you did. I hope to see you all next time on another edition of Science Bowl. Our final tally today is Leeland 150, Hyattsville 270. Hyattsville, congratulations. We will see you playing Beacon Heights on a match later today, hoping to advance to the semifinals. Let's give them a round of applause, and a round of applause for that Leeland team. Their first time ever on Science Bowl, thanks to Mr. Richardson, who really lobbied to make this happen. Mr. Richardson, thanks for all of that. And I hope to see everybody next time on another edition of Science Bowl. Until then, I'm Dave Zarin, and thanks for joining us. Bye-bye, everybody.